up guys, I'm here with a new video today. So this is like probably take 2 on me doing the Roswell, New Mexico review, cause I'm probably retaking it because I might have made a mistake or 2 or more in the other one. And if I make more mistakes on the review in this video, I'm sorry. I just woke up. I'm not making that an excuse. But, we'll get on with the review. So, first we see a recap. Of course, every episode we're gonna see a recap. And then we see, what happened with Michael's mom, with Isabel and Max's mom, Nora and Louise in 1947 when they first got attacked, or at least got shot. This guy, he works for the Long family, and his name is Roy. Didn't know that was his name until I found out, like, down the episode. He deals with Trip when Trip comes to his door asking if he's seen 2 women who didn't belong there. Of course, Roy tried to do with much of his ability to try to get Trip to leave, and it almost didn't work until a little boy named Wyatt came to his door, helped him out, and of course eventually after what Wyatt said, it made Trip just bend down on his knee and told him something that one of his family would say, and then Trip leaves, and of course we don't know where Wyatt ran after that. We just saw Roy run back probably in the barn, telling the 2 that he wants to understand them. He wants to communicate with them, but he knew somehow those 2 understood him. And of course, in this point, since the crash, they're just like new people in the town, and they don't know any English or anything because they're from another universe, another planet. And of course, Roy knew that from the start when a military person came in the front door after the girls were shot or bleeding out, and he told them that they had to leave tomorrow, but he'll come to redress the wound that Louise had, and then they can leave. Eventually they didn't leave. Roy allowed them to stay because they saw that the farm was like not successful as it was. So of course Wyatt saw what Nora and Louise was doing, and of course the next day he told Roy that the crops are growing, and of course they see Nora and Louise come out, and Wyatt begs Roy to let them stay because, you know, they helped. Roy let them stay, and since then Nora and Louise has been on the farm until 1948, but I'll get back to that point when we get there. So after that, we see Kyle and Liz at Max's place just making breakfast, talking all science stuff, and then Kyle goes to his seat, and of course he sees a face on Liz that he knows all too well, and he told Liz that he knows that face, and it means that she needs a favor from him. Liz said that she ordered like this object or something, and it just came to the lab, and of course at that point she asked Kyle, or Kyle sort of knew that she needed his help to get into the hospital to still what she ordered, and he gladly did. And Liz jumps up on the counter, kisses him on the cheek. Rosa comes in with like sort of like an attitude, but it didn't look like an attitude. And before Kyle can even ask, Liz explained that she was just doing something for her online alcoholic something. And after that, we see at the crash down where this guy comes in with like two girls. They're putting on a show for like his new cafe or something. And Liz tries to get him out. But before he leaves, Isabel closes the door with her mind like Michael did. And guy's toupee came off. He put it back on. And he finally leaves. Liz goes to Isabel. She was impressed. She's like, I thought Michael is the only one that can do that. And Isabel explained that she was just expanding her horizons, and that now she wants to use her powers for good. And she told Liz that she's doing everything she can to unite her and her family. Is a good she can do a good thing by reuniting her and her family by reuniting Arturo and Rosa. And but before Liz talks about that, Isabel explains that every Sunday for the past 10 years she's seen him go there, pray, and he feels like he doesn't deserve a miracle, deserve forgiveness. And I guess that's what Liz said, or Isabel the one who said it to her. But then after that, we see Kyle visiting his mom, and of course notice that his mom is still on the no bracket case when it was already like closed. And then we see Michael and Alex at his work, I think, or at farm. And of course Alex tells Michael that he got a text from Maria saying that she won't out his secret, she'll keep it, but it's gonna take her a long time to, get used to everything. And he said that he doesn't want to say it, but what if Mimi DeLuca was abducted? And of course Michael didn't want to believe that. He was wondering why they were at the Longs farm, and Michael explained that Nora and Louise was at the farm and that it was successful for the past year. No explanation how until the day of the contest in 1948. And so they go to the farm, and of course they jump over it, and Wyatt eventually catches them. They asked him why he had a crossbow because of the Pearl stuff. He said that only firearms he can't have, but he got a crossbow. And while Alex was talking, Michael was doing his mind power by trying to open the gate that had the horses in the car, and eventually let all the horses out. And of course Wyatt did not know what was happening until he saw them, and he's like, diamond, silk, and he runs after them while Michael and Alex runs to the barn. They see that one part of the barn from back then is with the new wood of the barn, how it looks like now, and they found a height mark wood that had Nora's height, Wyatt's height, of course I think also Louise and Roy. Michael was wondering if it was like Mark or something, and Alex was wondering. Alex didn't know that Michael never done that before, and he's like, "That's a height mark chart or whatever that Nora and Wyatt did." So and then I guess we could call him like a historian or something that who Michael knew. Forrest came in, and after that we see Kyle at the hospital in the gallery. It's the same lady he talked before in the last episode. They talk and stuff, and of course, between their talks, Kyle gets a text from Liz, and of course, the girl knew Liz. So Kyle and Liz goes into the dean's office, and eventually they hear the dean and the girl who Kyle's talking to coming in. They go in the closet, and the dad tells his daughter, who Kyle talked to before, saying that they can go, but he needs to get his hat first. And the daughter said, I could get it for you. And of course, at that point, Liz couldn't think of anything else, but she took Kyle by his lab coat, kisses him, and of course, right when they're done kissing in the last part, the girl comes in, opens the closet, gets the hat, and of course, she probably like looked pissed or something to see Kyle and Liz in the closet, and they leave, and of course, Kyle's like probably freaking out and upset, and Liz like said that she got the key, and she asked Kyle to look out for her, which apparently he probably did. And then we see back at Max's house where Rosa is trying to make one of her father's famous chili shakes, I think. And she hears someone coming in. She hides behind like this other side of the kitchen, and of course she has the blender. She turns around again, throws the blender to Isabel, and Isabel catches it with her mind, switches to the other side, and she's like, "You scared of me because I murdered you." Russell's like, "No, you weren't in control. It was Noah." And of course, Isabel said she was sorry, and she said that she was there to ask her questions about her father, Arturo. And she talks about how she said that she can reunite her and her father, but she tells Rosa that um, that Arturo doesn't think he can deserve a forgiveness, a miracle, because he failed you. Because she went into Arturo's mind that before she went there, and it showed a past memory of what happened between him and Rosa. And of course, Rosa talks to her about the memories with her father, saying that her father told her that he didn't care if she made a mess outside of the wall of the crash down, as long as she's happy, she's smiling, and whatever the father gave her, she was happy. And she loved going to church with her father. Of course, at this point, we see Isabel back at the crash down, telling, showing that to Arturo, and Arturo didn't want to take her money because her money would have been good there. But Isabel pleaded with him that to take the money and to also get make her some of his famous chili shakes, or show her how to make the shakes. And then we see back at the farm, Alex didn't knew that Michael knew along or something. So Forrest comes back with like this lunch container, and of course the two looks what's in it, and Forrest was explaining how Roy was helping hiding to Nazi spies and stuff, that they were making something a bioweapon or something, and of course they see like bullets that was in there, and they see like this paper thing, and of course the two didn't know to put it together until later on in the episode. And we see back at the hospital where Kyle's trying to apologize for what happened with Liz, and of course he didn't want the girl to think that he was, whatever he was doing. And of course at this point the girl leaves and Kyle's in the gallery. Liz goes there and said that she was very stealthy and she was thankful for his help. And of course Kyle at this point was probably still upset about the kids, and they talk, and Liz mentions that he's like family, and of course he's like, yeah, you consider me as a brother or something. And Liz like, no, Kyle, that's not what I meant. I meant you're like family. And she said that she loves Max, and she didn't know that Kyle still felt that way about her. Kyle mentions that he loved being her rock. He loved being whoever she wanted him to be at that point. But when he's her rock, he stands still, and he doesn't want to do that anymore. And he said he'll help her save Max, but as for now, they need a little space. They can't do that anymore. And of course, he leaves, and we see back at Kyle's place. Kyle visits his mom once again for her birthday. They talk about his father, and then Kyle tries to reason with his mom that probably the reason why she can't let go of this Noah Bracken case is because she wants it to make sense of something when it's just like an act of God. That's what he said, and of course she lets it go, I think. And then we see back at Michael's place where Alex brings a bag, and Michael explains that they weren't creating a bioweapon. It was schematics for a ship to bring him and Max and Isabel home. Then Alex mentions saying that Trip was saying, and said that they should know that all too well. And then Michael said that it wasn't his fault, and Alex said that it was. Trip is his uncle, Eugene Maines the third, I think. That the night of when they took Nora, they've been hunting her all year, and and of course, it goes back to 1948, of the night of the contest, when it was over, and Nora heard something and was like talking about coyotes and stuff, and of course one point it did show back in 1948 where they're dancing and stuff, and that she missed Michael and whatnot. But back to what I was saying, Wyatt goes to the looking hole that he looked through when he first was seeing Nora and Louise there with the crop. He sees like a bunch of military men, and he turns around and looks at the three and said that it's a bunch of men with guns. And of course Nora tells Wyatt to come to her, tells him to get into like this big box or something and stay there and not come out. And of course Wyatt didn't want to do that, but eventually he did. Louise tells Roy that she's sorry, that she loved him. And of course I think the Trip opened the door, and Roy tries to like plead with him that they're just human, that they're just people. And of course Roy didn't. Of course Trip didn't care at this point. He didn't care if he was gonna kill innocent people or that. So apparently he shot Roy. I don't know what happened to Louise. We don't know what happened to her. Hopefully she's still alive. And hopefully she's still alive up to now, watching over the three for Nora. And so he shoots Roy and he takes Nora outside. Nora's like, there's innocent people there. And of course Nora, she was like, you'll have their blood on your hands or now. And of course he shoots something that fell and of course made a fire and hit the ship with the luminescent or something. And of course that made a huge fire, and he didn't care, Trip didn't care if he killed innocent people or whatever, but he blamed it on Nazis, 2 Nazi women. And of course that point that showed what kind of person he was. And Nora was like all beat up and bloody, and Nora was scared for Wyatt because Wyatt was still in there. She didn't tell Wyatt to come out if there was a fire or anything. She just told him to stay there. And and yeah, that what happens. And of course now he goes back. Now it comes back to Michael and Alex. Alex said that he's not going to be another main man to get in his way and stuff. He takes out this like luminescent thing or whatever that was part of the ship. And Michael mentions that he had something part of what he had. And he said that Alex said that he had that for a couple of months now, that he inherited with the cabin that Jim Valenti left him. And he explained to Michael that he didn't tell him and give him it because he didn't want him to leave. He was probably scared that he was gonna leave if he did, gave Michael that, and then he leaves while probably crying. Of course Michael was probably confused on what was happening and why Alex did that. Of course it showed at that point Kyle's still in love with Michael, and I guess now he's probably gonna stay away from Michael because probably the pain hurts too much for him to feel like Michael's probably gonna leave one day and stuff. And then after that we go back to the crash down. Isabel's like at one part of the exit. She does her abilities again. She tells Arturo that Rosa deserves many second chances, deserves a miracle, and that he never failed her. And after that, she finally let Arturo go, and Arturo sees Rosa, and Rosa's like, "Hey, Poppy," and of course, Arturo did not know what was happening because he was shocked. And Liz comes in saying that she had a long day and stuff. She said, then Poppy's like, did you know? How long did you know? And Liz explains that she wanted to tell him, but didn't know how, and probably didn't want him to have a heart attack when he saw Rosa. And then Arturo said that if God gives you a miracle, you don't question it. And of course he said something else in Spanish. I hope it's Spanish. And he hugs both of his daughters, and while they were hugging, Liz looks at Isabel, and of course she's happy. They're both happy. Isabel went to of course in this episode Cameron is talking to Alex's father Jesse about her sister whereabouts and stuff, and I'll get to her point. So Isabel goes to the cave where Max's pot is and talks to him about everything she's thinking of. Rosa, Liz, and Arturo are just at the crash down dancing, being happy again as a family. And then we see Cameron calling Liz. It was the time when Liz was going to crash down and got a voicemail. And she tells Liz that she hopes that she finds something to save Max, bring Max home. And then Cameron sees like this dead deer. She goes outside her car, looks at it, and she sees that her car light is like blinking and stuff. She turns around because she's scared, and then she turns around. She can get a gun, but then a brighter flashlight showed her and stopped her. And of course, at this point, we don't know what happens because it's probably the lighting happening, because later, after Isabel leaves the cave, it shows the core going to what Michael was making to generate Max, and of course it stopped, and of course Max's pod turns black. He wakes up, and at that point, I guess Max knew something was happening. Like Noah said that the lighting's happening, and it means there are people are gonna come back for him. So apparently, I guess that's why he woke up, probably because he knew, again, now it's happening with Cameron. I don't think he knows it's Cameron, but now there are people probably there trying to get them back, bring them back. And of course, at this point, I don't know if Liz told Isabel and Michael about the lighting, that their people are gonna come back for them, and that Max was trying to prevent that. And of course, in this episode, it's really amazing. It's really history teaching lesson stuff. I know we all want to know more about the lighting, because and why Max didn't want to be brought back alive to prevent that, but now he's awake, and now we're just gonna see what's the connection between the bright flashlight that happened with Mimi DeLuca, Maria's mom, and Cameron, and hopefully we get to see if Liz is gonna tell Michael and Isabel about the lighting, or if they already know, and hopefully we get to see if Michael tells Isabel and probably Max in the pod that their mom was with his mom, and of course they're gonna end up questioning if their alien mom's still alive, and if she's still out there, and of course going to try to look for her, because Mike already found his mom, and it did kind of suck that he had to let his mom die in a self-destruct prison that probably burst into flames. And hopefully we get to see Liz save Max in time before their people comes, or before their people even finds Max, because apparently if those butterfly lights are probably their people, then their people are probably watching Michael and Isabel, because apparently they probably would know how they look like. And hopefully we get to see more of who Max, Isabel, and Michael are. Like, I mean, we do know who they are, but I mean, like, in, like, their alien biology. I mean, like, if they're, like, regular people on their planet, or are they, like, royalty? Like, you know, like how, if you watch the old Roswell with Sherry Appleby, I don't know how to say her name, but yeah, if you watch that, you will know that they find out that their Max, their Isabel, their Michael are royalty. So hopefully we get to see more on this Roswell, New Mexico, Max, Isabel, and Michael, to see if they're like just regular people on their planet, or were they royalties. There's a lot of theories that we can come up with that are probably true, probably not. We won't know that until down the line in the season, when we get to see more on what's the lighting, more on if we're gonna see if Max gets out the pod, that he's up, that he'll probably like alert Isabel that he's up, when he gets out of the pod, who knows. But before I make this episode review any longer, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, tap the notification bell to always be notified because weekly videos are coming. I still need to edit a lot of some of the some videos that I did back that a few weeks ago before I uploaded sometime this week. And I hope you guys stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.